Disney Parks, creating superhero experiences around the world. Make some noise for your head of content for Marvel New Media. It's Ron Richard! Thanks, Ron. All right, how's everybody doing? Amazing, thanks for coming. This is pretty cool because this is the first Disney Parks panel ever at New York Comic Con. So before we get started, I just want to get a sense of the room. How many of you have been to a Disney park? All right, so you got some idea what we're talking about. How many of you have seen or read Marvel comics or seen Marvel movies? Well, today we have an amazing panel of the brains and the creators behind the amazing experiences that are coming to Disney parks. Cool, right? Awesome. So, before we introduce our panel, I want to let everyone know that to commemorate this first Disney Parks panel at New York Comic Con, we've got a little gift for you. You're going to be getting it at the end of the panel, so stay tuned. And in a little bit, you're going to find out exactly what it is, so stay tuned. So, let's introduce everybody, starting here on my right.
Hello, everyone. My name is Scott Drake. I'm super excited to be here. And just for the record, I'm going to start off. I grew up an artist, a fan of all things art and design, and it's extraordinary to be here. I've been at Imagineering for the last 20 years. I thought that was a dream job, but now getting to work on this epic universe, getting to work with amazing creators, and really lead the Marvel global portfolio with Imagineering, it's extraordinary. So we have a lot of fun things to show you today, so I'm really excited to jump into it.
Woo! Thanks, Scott. Dave?
I can't see the back of the room, but it sounds like there's a lot of you. We were standing backstage, it was funny, like when Ron asked everybody, you guys been to a Disney park, the cheer was almost weirdly louder than do you like Marvel comics and do you like Marvel movies, which was awesome. I was like, yeah, these people are totally into this. Which is great, but to sort of riff off of what Scott was saying, it's amazing to be here. You said the word dream job. It was funny, me and Scott were talking last night, and I grew up watching movies in my room, and movies and TV shows is where I, locked into stories and characters and found Marvel comics through that, and found my way, luckily, at Marvel, and been at Marvel Studios 10 years this month, and didn't know that working on Disney theme parks for Marvel was even a job until they were like, hey, do you want to work on theme parks for Marvel? I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty awesome. So yeah, it's amazing to be here and even get the chance to talk to you guys about all this stuff.
Great, excellent, thanks Dave. And for Marvel Entertainment, Mr. Brian Crosby.
What's up, New York Comic Con? I'm just gonna follow these guys with the theme of Dream Job. This is awesome for us. I grew up about 15 minutes from Disneyland, so going to Disneyland and reading comic books were a part of my childhood, and I hadn't really thought about theme parks as something that you could do for a living, and it wasn't until I discovered comics when I was 10 years old, and the credits were at the front. And Marvel Studios has trained us to see all the credits at the end of the movie, but back then we used to skip the credits, and in the comics I've discovered there are people that do this for a living, so I always wanted to work at Marvel Comics, and about 1999 that dream became a reality. I did some small press stuff and found my way over to Disney. In fact, I was an Imagineer as well for about 10 years, and then when the Walt Disney Company bought Marvel in 2009, like all my dreams kind of collided into this beautiful, happy thing, and it was all that I wanted to do was work on Marvel projects for the parks. And so a few years later, I was offered the job to come over to Marvel and actually kind of be the creative director of Marvel themed entertainment. So I get to collaborate with all of these folks on helping bring these experiences to life. And what a blessing. I mean, we've read comics and watched movies and TV shows and played video games, but now we get to step into the story. So it's a whole new way of experiencing Iron Man, Spider-Man, Guardians of the Galaxy, Black Panther, Captain Marvel, all of them. This is just a really exciting time. Make my Marvel. Thank you, Brian.
Dan?
Hey, I'm Dan Fields. My job is the live entertainment creative executive for the Marvel portfolio for the parks. My background is in live theater, so working on a stage, making plays with great stories and great characters. So coming to work at Imagineering and realizing that all of the Disneyland parks are essentially gigantic stages. Every inch of it is an opportunity for theater. So then to combine that with my love of the Marvel characters, once again, a huge stage, incredibly powerful characters, is also a dream come true.
And last but certainly not least, Carolyn.
Hi, my name is Caroline May. I'm a creative director with Walt Disney Imagineering. My background is art design and art history, so I'm so excited that these projects that I get to work on, I actually get to combine the storytelling from Disney and Marvel with my background of design.
Awesome. So I hope everybody realizes that, like in the legacy of the Avengers and the other great superhero teams, we have an amazing team assembled here of creative minds who are going to tell you about everything that's coming to Disney parks worldwide. But I'd love to hear from you guys first. When you look at Marvel and try to approach the superhero experiences at Disney parks, how do you all come together as a team in order to do that? And what is the starting point?
That's a great
It's
question.
a lot of fighting.
There's
There's a lot of fighting, like in the Avengers. It's a lot of late nights and yelling at each other. No, seriously.
I would say maybe the brainstorming process of the what if is definitely the most fun. A lot of times we're put in a room and trying to figure out what would be not only delivering on the expectations, but what's solving a problem, right? We're trying to have guests step inside the Avengers. We're going to show you that at the end. We have guests, they want to feel what it's like to, be right alongside these characters. But we look up to these characters as icons, and we see ourselves in them. We don't just want to hang out with them. We want to feel like if we were poised and had that choice to make, we would make the right choice with them as well.
So one of those first kind of experiences that's coming soon is going to be in Paris, actually, right? Carolyn, can you tell us what's coming to Paris?
Yeah, so Disney's Hotel New York, The Art of Marvel, is a new hotel that we're working on, which ironically is in Paris. But we're just so excited about this. We had the opportunity to do a complete interior renovation of the hotel. And we wanted to make sure to still keep the fact that it was the Hotel New York, because we know, and you all know more than anyone, that New York is almost synonymous with Marvel in so many ways, right? Marvel is from New York. The superheroes are from New York. This is where the stories are from. New York is almost like a character in Marvel's storytelling, and I think it's because these stories are in New York, that's why they're so relatable, which is one of the differentiators of why Marvel is so different from all of the other superhero universes. But it's really, the focal point of the hotel is this extensive art collection. And we wanted to show a diversity of different styles of art that are representative of Marvel. I think, we know the comic books, we know the film concept art, but it was really important to show everything else. There's a huge community of artists that are so talented that are associated with Marvel, but haven't necessarily created something for a film or for a comic book. So we wanted to have a place for the Matt Fergusons and the Kazumoris all within one roof. Within this, I could keep going on about this hotel. But for us, there's over 300 pieces of artwork and counting in this hotel. We worked with a lot of different artists from around the world to create exclusive pieces of artwork just for this hotel. So that's been one of the most amazing parts of this process, is talking to artists from around the world and understanding about how Marvel has influenced them, and then how we see that in each piece of art that they've created.
Well, I'd love to talk about some of the comic artists you work with, but I know you also worked with Ryan Marnarding from Marvel Studios. And there's some of the comic book artists that you guys have pieces from.
Well, actually, this piece right here, this is the interior of the lobby, and the focal point really are these large window panels on either side that were inspired by the comic book. So we teamed up with Marvel and the comic book artist Carlos Gomez and created this exclusive piece of artwork, which is depicting a story of the Avengers assembling. And I think what's so interesting about it is that we're completely changing the context for how people usually view this type of artwork. So instead of opening up a comic book, you're seeing this artwork, which is epically large and permanent, so you can really get up close and see a lot of the detail.
Awesome, very cool. And you mentioned there's a Scotty Young piece somewhere in the hotel, right?
Yeah, yes.
Scotty Young?
No, Scotty.
There he is.
Yeah, so for the downtown restaurant, this is really our ode to the New York diner, and there's 90 pieces of unique artwork. We wanted to show a chronology of history within Marvel, so you'll see kind of, the Steve Ditkos, Jack Kirby, but also more contemporary artists like Sarah Pichelli and Scotty Young. The decision was made to really strip this down and only show black and white line art, because what I think is really interesting about that is you see each artist's unique style and how each generation of artists influenced the next.
That's great. So within the hotel, not only are you surrounded by this great art, but you get to experience the world of Marvel, right, Dan?
Yeah, in almost all of our hotels around the world, you can often meet Mickey or Minnie or some of our other Disney characters who live there, but it only made sense in an Art of Marvel hotel that you would be able to meet some of the Marvel heroes. So there's a special location, the Superhero Station, where you will be able to meet one of the heroes and have a heroic encounter. But we've also installed, using this art theme, some unique photo backdrops for you to step into the artwork and take some anamorphic, three-dimensional photos, only for the guests who are staying in this hotel. You may or may not bump into other heroes in the lobby or elsewhere.
Ooh, very cool. So here's a glimpse at some of the rooms that are going to be in the hotel. Right?
Yeah, so there's 476 rooms in this hotel. It's very large. This is an example of one of the executive rooms. All of the artwork in the executive and standard rooms are all comic book art. And what we did was we stripped all the type from it so we could showcase them for these beautiful pieces of artwork that they are. We have almost an exhaustive combination of different styles of art that you could get in your room. So if you go to the hotel frequently or you're a big family, you'll always see something different in your room.
Very cool. I want to book my trip now.
Yeah. So we have 3 signature suites in the hotel. This is one of them, the Spider-Man suite, which is my personal favorite. This is a Michael Walsh mural that was created exclusively for the hotel. And then if you go to the next one, this is, of course, Alex Ross, which is just all throughout the hotel. And Liam Brazier, who is a UK-based artist who has this very distinct, kind of fragmented style.
And you want to tell us about this special piece?
I do. So I'm so excited to be able to be the one to tell you this, but all of you will be getting a poster of this exclusive piece of artwork that was created by Liam Brazier.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Carolyn, and everybody get your poster at the end of the panel, so stay tuned. But Dan, why don't you tell us some of the live entertainment that fans can find at Disney parks?
Yeah, live entertainment is the way we get the characters out to you, the guests, as quickly as possible. We've been doing that for a few years and are adding more and more of the Marvel heroes and villains as we go forward. There's a few key ways we like to do that. We want you to have a heroic encounter, which means to meet a character in person. There are atmosphere activations where you do things with the heroes, and then of course, getting to see them in iconic action that you're used to seeing them in the comic books and television and film. So there are so many activations we have out there right now. I thought the best way to do it would be to show you a video.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about all the characters in the parks is that we're able to see Captain Marvel, whose movie came out earlier this year, and it's great to see so many female superheroes getting emerged, and she's in the parks.
She is in the parks. She is on the Disney Cruise Line, on the Disney Fantasy for Marvel Day at Sea. She is in Tomorrowland, in Shanghai Disneyland. She is in Disney California Adventure, where she has actually her F-16 Eagle there accompanying her, and she will be with us in the future. But to have such a powerful character and role model has been a really amazing experience for a lot of our guests.
And how have the guests kind of reacted to that? And also seeing other great female characters in the parks too.
Well, there are so many, and everyone has their favorites, so we try to be as diverse with the offerings as possible. You probably saw in there that the Dora Milaje are also with Black Panther at Disney California Adventure in Anaheim. That was a little bit of a surprise because the Dora Milaje have lines as long as Black Panther himself. So it's pretty powerful, and the most powerful experience I saw was a little girl dressed as Snow White standing between two Dora Milaje saying Wakanda forever. I mean, that's a game changer, I think.
That's awesome. Very cool. So the hotel sounds great, the live experiences sound great, but what about the rides, right? That's the fun part.
So yeah, and I want to run through these because we have so much new content to talk about as well. But let's go to Hong Kong, where it kind of all started for us. That was the first time we got one of our attractions at Hong Kong Disneyland, a first for Disney parks. But the first attraction was the Iron Man experience.
Brian, you worked on this. What was it like to make this come to life in Hong Kong?
It was awesome. We had so many conversations about how we might start to bring these characters to life in the parks. And when we started thinking about Hong Kong and what characters are resonating and what was big and where did the MCU start, we quickly gravitated towards Iron Man. And so it was great to tell a Marvel story in a Disney theme park for the first time. It felt like a big win. And so to actually be there when we opened and to work alongside Stan Lee and Joe Quesada and Kevin Feige. I mean, working with Stan.
Stan Lee.
I think we're all aware on this panel and many others that we represent who work on these projects that we stand on the shoulders of giants. And none of us would be here without the great Stan Lee. And I can just tell you, getting to work with him is exactly what you would imagine it would be. Actually, the first time I met him, he was asleep. And he was kind of powered down, for lack of a better term. And they go, Stan, there's somebody here to meet you. And I walked over to meet Stan, and he kind of sprang to life and immediately turned on the Stan Lee of it all. Excelsior, start saying all the things that you want him to say. And we were fortunate enough to have him do a cameo in the Iron Man experience and in Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout that came later on. And so it really was a dream to have him there. And he actually signed the wall at Hong Kong Disneyland and made a little monument/tribute to Stan. So we were very blessed and fortunate to have him see that first attraction.
That's great. That's excellent. So after Iron Man kind of paved the way, and then Scott, where do we go from there?
Yeah, well, and it's great to collaborate on all these things and build from that success. And specifically in Hong Kong, we've expanded from the Iron Man experience into Ant-Man and Wasp Nano Battle. And this is a brand new facility that's right next door, brand new experience, brand new attraction.
So Dave, you worked very closely on this project, and what was it? Can you tell us about the experience of working with the director and Paul Rudd and the whole crew, tying it so closely to the movie?
Yeah, and it was awesome, and Peyton's actually worked on Disney theme park attractions before, so when we pitched him the idea, he was like, yeah, this is gonna be amazing, I can't wait. And it was funny when we spoke to Paul and Angeline even, how the sort of thought process changes, the excitement that we have to go watch them in the films and as fans and as audience members, that then we were in the trailer and we're like, okay, so it's an attraction, you're gonna shrink down, you're gonna help the guests. And it was like, wait, I get to be in a Disney attraction? How that excitement level, they become kids and they're like, wait, it's like I get to be immortalized in a Disney attraction. There's sort of fun of that so many people get to experience. So they had a great time and really brought, obviously their characters to it. A lot of the fun in it was trying to have fun with it. When we were working on the script, it was late nights conversations around, what hasn't happened yet. And if this is the first attraction, which is really the fun part of it, is that the first theme park attraction that's connected to another theme park attraction. You've got one here and then you walk 50 feet and you can continue the story, and that story is elevated in a way, was what hasn't happened between the characters. Well, Iron Man and Ant-Man's only conversation up until that point was something in Civil War, you know what I mean? And so we were like, well, they're gonna team up now, what would that conversation be? Of course, it's Ant-Man trying to be buddy-buddy with Tony. He's like, all right, Tony Tone, let's have fun, let's get this done. And, picturing his new suit ideas, can you help me? Hank doesn't give me all the cool tech. And all of those things were fun, and you see the audience members and guests go experience it. It's a new story, it's a new thing that they brought to life as only they can as those characters. So it was a ton of fun, getting to work with that crew and bringing it to Hong Kong.
Excellent, very cool. And it was a great tie to the movie premiere, and everybody showed up and got to ride the ride.
Yeah, it was amazing when we showed up for the premiere and Paul and Kevin walked out to the crowd, which was like a couple thousand people. It felt like a movie premiere, and everyone's got their photos and they do the photo line, and it was amazing. And to see that energy in a park, is amazing. And it speaks to speaks to the power of the characters and the power of the Disney parks and for people, the excitement people have for it. So
It's great. So, love Hong Kong, but it's a little far from home. All right, and in California at Disneyland, there's Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. I was going to ask who's written it, but clearly some of you are familiar with it.
And live to tell the tale.
No, well, this was great because this was a transformation of one of a Disney classic attraction of Tower of Terror. But I think it really upped the game to not only bring these characters, bring this sense of adventure, bring the relevancy. For those of you that have gone there, one detail you may not know.
Oh yeah, the ride is full of Easter eggs, right? Like, and that's part of tying it to the movies and things like that. But there's one iconic Easter egg that I think we're going to reveal here today, right? We're going to talk about. You guys recognize this iconic moment from the film?
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
I heard a yes. Back left corner. One of the coolest things in the same thing in Hong Kong and in the fun of the Marvel universe and the comics and the films and everything is the sort of Easter eggs and the ties that bind behind the scenes, right? And the characters that you see in the background. This shot in Guardians 2, which was great, where you like handing down
the iconic shot.
Iconic shot.
Almost the plot.
Yeah, probably. Deep subtext. Is you pan down to right before the Guardians meet Ego, and you see these animals on a branch. Well, the funny thing in that shot beforehand, those animals weren't in there, and one of the great things that we get to do, and I was saying earlier about the idea that there was even a job working on Disney theme parks, one of the cool things we get to do, and we actually get to do in a few weeks, is go to this thing at WDI, which is R&D, open house, and it's this thing where the amazing Imagineers, and when you say the word Imagineers, it really is, because the stuff that they have in this building is unbelievable, and they're just in there thinking up the most unbelievable ways to bring characters to life and in new ways. There was this is that scene now come to life in the attraction in Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout. These characters now exist, and what it was there was these little robotic characters that they had created that looked a lot like this. The colors are a little bit different now, and James had a hand in that, and he named them the Vilus. And we saw these, and we went, oh my gosh, we have to find a way to put this in the attraction. And Kevin was like, get James over here. And James saw it and was like, amazing, let's do it, And it was just like really quick, few weeks. I remember how quickly it came together. And the amazing thing about it is the emotion. That was the selling point, right? Was the emotion that the characters had. These little Vilus, these little characters, was what sold it. And then James was like, okay, let's put it in the movie. And then now it's actually just started. It's just started being sold at Disneyland, and it's become like a fan favorite, piece of merchandise that those connections between everything we get to talk about and do and see that raises everything to a whole other level is super fun.
Very cool. That connection between the movie to the experience and that sort of thing. But we've got a lot of cool stuff coming, right? And for those Guardians of the Galaxy fans, you've got a treat coming down south in Florida coming out very soon. Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind, I think it's called? Right?
Yes, all of us love Epcot, and what's great about Epcot, and especially getting the Guardians of the Galaxy there, is authentically we can now deliver this story as an extension, almost an Otherworld's fair, an Otherworld a celebration with Xandar coming here, and not only showing us how we're all connected in this universe, but also sharing some of their technology and some of their knowledge of the universe. And of course, that turns into this, epic adventure that we get sent out on alongside the Guardians in this chase through time and space. And what's fun about that is we've also created a brand new storytelling coaster. And this is a brand new device that is kind of a game changer for us for how we can immerse our guests in the story and do it in a really thrilling way. And the caveat for this video here is when our Imagineers finally finish and build one of these vehicles, we do a little reveal moment. So that's what this is showing, is this
the unveiling,
the
so to speak.
unveiling of this new
Quite extreme music.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Just another day at the office.
Yeah. It wasn't a coincidence that you saw those spinning. That is what makes this a storytelling coaster. Is not only are we going to have an amazing dynamic track layout through these epic sets, but as we go through, your vehicle will be turning, and we'll be able to program that to face you towards the story beats we want you to see.
And there's also another first of this ride, right? Isn't the launch?
It is a reverse launch, which is pretty amazing, and it's like the largest building in all of Florida. Don't quote me on that; it's not true, but it's huge.
The scope of the building in Epcot.
Yeah, it is today.
Yeah, I think one thing people don't understand. So it's under construction right now in Epcot, and but the size of the show building that's holding the attraction is enormous, right? And we've got some interesting facts about it. It's going to be big.
It's going to be big, and that building is vertical now. And for those of you that know the Universe of Energy building, that is just a small foreground building to what we're building behind.
Very, very cool. So, tell us, we're talking about what's to come now in the parks and the whole idea of immersion and kind of like, we've touched upon it lightly about how you get to kind of step into the world of the Marvel Universe. How can fans do that in the lands?
A lot of the things that we've been talking about, kind of, some things are celebrating the brand, and then some things you're deep into the story. And a lot of our attractions are immersive attractions. When we talk about immersive lands, that's when it really surrounds everything around the attraction. The merch, the food, the placemaking, and that interconnectivity can be a lot of fun, especially for how we bring characters to life.
So now we get to the good stuff.
And to say I appreciate whoever's running AV, because my shirt was shaking. I was like, yeah, that's what it's supposed to do when we show the Avengers. I was like, hey, it's loud enough.
We got it. So just recently we found out that Avengers Campus is coming to California. An immersive land inside Disney California Adventure. What can you tell us about Avengers Campus?
So this is incredibly exciting to all of us. We've been looking at this for so long. And this universe is expanding, and for us, it's not about going backwards. These are dynamic stories. The expectation is we're going to be going forward and creating new adventures. And through the events, and we often say, even through the events that we witnessed in Endgame, the world needs more heroes, and that's where all of you come in. All of us are asked to join for the first time. We're welcomed into an Avengers campus. We've seen headquarters, we've seen Avengers towers, but now they are creating these campuses around the world. So it's in California and in Paris. That's welcoming all of us to step up and become something more.
So let's take a step into the land, why don't we? So first up is Web.
Web. So our first attraction that you're going to experience is a Spider-Man attraction. And to create that, we really wanted to lean into Peter Parker and Spider-Man, but we needed to create a new organization. He wouldn't have his own building and facility, and we need the placemaking to be real and core to the experience. So we invented the Worldwide Engineering Brigade. The kids just call it WEB for short. And this is an organization where young geniuses are inventing the technology for the heroes of tomorrow. And one of them that we're going to witness is Peter Parker, of course. And he's going to show us all this new tech that he's working on. They're creating these cool vehicles, and they're creating tech that helps the next generation. But he's also really excited to show us this new cool little spider bot. Except it is not ready for prime time at all. It's glitching, it's replicating itself, it's eating all the technology, and then it scatters off. And that's when Peter realizes he's gonna be in trouble if he doesn't clean up this mess. And there's so many of them, and they've now escaped through the campus. So he's inviting all of us to get in these brand new web vehicles, and we're gonna now go through the campus and web up all these spider bots. And I'm sorry, I'm just gonna keep going because I'm excited.
Flip, go for it.
This is, I know we've shown this image, but really the wish fulfillment of not only being able to sling webs like Spider-Man, you're gonna get on this attraction, you're gonna put your hand out, and webs are gonna go into this environment and web up these spider bots. This is something that all of us, the first time we did it, it was like, that's how I always imagined it would be. Like I can pull things out of there. It's great.
Yeah, that motion was funny because we're like, I can pull it. Like,
Yeah.
Very cool. So, Spider-Man's going to be there, right?
Oh, absolutely going to be there, not just in the attraction, but in the whole at the whole campus. So what you're seeing here is the park's exclusive suit that Spider-Man wears. This was done by Ryan Meinerding and in consultation with all of our Marvel partners that created a look that you would only see in our park. So Spider-Man's going to be everywhere. He's going to be in the attraction. He's going to be in the land to meet you and also swinging above your head.
And the suit is here, right, Brian?
Yeah, if you actually go to the Marvel booth, shameless plug, booth 1354, you can go and see the web suit right now. And I think what this really helps illustrate to me is that this is not these attractions, these experiences you're gonna have are nothing that you've seen before. You haven't read them in a comic, you haven't seen them in a film, we're not regurgitating anything that you've seen. Believe me, we have 80 years of stories to try and navigate around, but we're telling a completely new story in all these Avengers campuses. So, I mean, what a blessing for all of us to dive into this playground.
Very cool. So go check that out. So moving on from web is the web suppliers. Caroline, what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so in the same spirit, we wanted to make sure that the merchandise that we were creating was also differentiated from all of that other product that you can get anywhere else. So the merchandise will really extend that storytelling and allow our guests to feel like they are part of the story that we're telling.
That's awesome. That's great. And now, I love going to the parks, I love the experiences, and the idea of an immersive land and meeting new different characters, and we get to see Doctor Strange, right?
I'm going to take this one because Doctor Strange is actually my personal favorite. There are the remains of a sanctum here, so you will be able to roam around it, but you will also find Doctor Strange there because he's looking for other potential practitioners of the mystical arts. So we hope that you or your kids will be those practitioners. So there's also a portal that may bring some other heroes into this dimension.
I love your teases, Dan. It's the best.
That's great. And another favorite part of my experience in the parks, of course, is the food.
Oh my gosh! As we started talking about the different organizations, Worldwide Engineering Brigade was mentioned, but when we talk about food, I mean, a pretzel's cool. A pretzel bombarded by pin particles is much cooler and much bigger. So I think you can start to imagine all the fun that we're having playing with food and drinks and pin tech and what that might mean. The most Instagrammable food you can possibly imagine.
The Disney way, right?
You're gonna bombard your feed.
And of course, as we mentioned, the aforementioned Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout is there. Right?
Yeah, and this was fun to integrate because, of course, Tavon would not have been welcome there. So it has been an unwelcome disruption to the campus to have this collection there with the Guardians inside.
And then, of course, it's called Avengers Campus. So the Avengers have got to show up, right?
Yes, the Avengers headquarters here. This is where the Avengers live and work, and you'll be there to interact with them. You can see on the upper levels of this, there'll be a number of heroes taking care of any incursions in case any villains want to show up. But Black Panther and Black Widow, Captain America, Captain Marvel will all be involved in that action, and many other characters too.
And part of it is the fact that this isn't just happening at Disneyland, like you mentioned, right?
Right, and what's great about building this kind of global initiative where the world needs more heroes, and we're going to find them in extraordinary places. And Paris is going to be another site for Avengers Campus. And if we go through this is showing some of the visual development, a lot of the same core principles and stories but the unique aspects for our French audience. We'll have our Spider-Man attraction there. We'll also have another Avengers attraction that will be in the back of our land. And sitting on top of both this Avengers headquarters and the one you saw in Anaheim is this iconic new Quinjet. And what's great about this is another exclusive design for the parks. But we're building this full size, and I have to tell you, when you walk into the shop and see this thing, it takes your breath away. So we're excited that this is going to be coming to Paris and California shortly.
Very cool. And it wouldn't be an MCU thing if there wasn't multiple phases, right? And one of the things that I love about the MCU is just the iconic visuals and a lot of the iconic kind of, not just the heroes, but also the vehicles and the buildings. And Dave, we were chatting about this before the panel, about the importance of the buildings of the Avengers history, right?
Yeah, I mean, when you think about the iconic locations at the Avengers, Iron Man 1 and Tony's house, I think, we're all like, yeah, I'd love to live there. But also, the iconic nature of Avengers buildings through the comics and through the history and the pantheon of Marvel and Avengers Tower in New York from the films and the ones in upstate New York or whatever. But what's great about this is we're building one that we can go to. We don't have to dream about going to it or think about it or read about it. We get to actually go and walk through it and be a part of it, which is pretty amazing when you think about being able to take a photograph in front of that for the first time ever.
And so with phase 2,
So I can barely sit down and talk about this. I want to jump up and tell you how excited we are about this. So not only are you going to be welcomed into this Avengers headquarters, but you'll get to step into and be sent out on a mission. Avengers are a team. We want to be a part of that team. We want to be, part of this extraordinary team of individuals. So we're going to be sent out on a mission, and we're going to be flying in a Quinjet. Next slide. So to do that, we're going to step into this world. We're going to see these Quinjets being prepped and ready for us, and then we're going to sit and see all the cool Stark tech around us, and we're going to feel like not only are we going out on an adventure, but we're with the protection of all the Avengers and all of their technologies. Until all of that gets ripped away from us.
Nothing goes wrong.
Something may go wrong. And then we're going to transform from this group experience to this individual flight. And this is kind of going to be the basis of our own origin story. And we're going to build back up and get to fight alongside with all the Avengers in this epic battle in Wakanda.
like that. Yeah. How about that? So there's a lot to be excited for if you're a fan of superheroes at Disney Parks coming up soon, right? So, well, that's great. So we only have a couple more minutes left here in the panel. If there are any questions or somebody has a quick question we can ask in our last couple of minutes together. If not, we've got posters in the back for you.
This is me and Scott were just saying, it was funny before we walked in, not to interrupt you, but like, this image is like the cheers that it gets. It reminded me when we were backstage. When I went and saw Endgame, I live in Hollywood, I went to the ArcLight. I'm sitting there, I had seen it a couple times already, and it was opening weekend. And this guy is sitting behind me, and it's right after all the portals open. And Cap just got done going toe-to-toe with Thanos, and all the heroes come flooding out, and
On your left.
What's on your left?
On your left.
And this guy's sitting behind me, and just hearing this, and Cap, pulls the hammer in, everyone starts cheering, and this guy's not cheering. He's just like, say it, say it, say it, say it. There were a lot more expletives involved, but say it, just say it, say it. And then, of course, after waiting 10 years, Captain finally says it, Avengers Assemble, and this guy's like, just erupts, just freaks out. Which, I think that's the thing that's like people have waited their whole lives to see those characters come to life in movies and TV shows in different ways. And getting to go to a theme park now and actually live it and do that, and you get to, say Avengers Assemble and you're part of the team. I mean, that's an extraordinarily powerful feeling. So,
and I think now that we're flipping, I mean, Dave mentioned earlier the way the Iron Man experience and Ant-Man and the Wasp Nano Battle are connected, and that being the first time we've ever done that in a theme park, and now to double down on that with this global initiative that Scott mentioned. I mean, it is the most inclusive, global experience that ties everybody into this universe of anything that's ever been done. I think it's massive. It's huge.
Awesome. All right, so do we have any questions from the audience? Or?
Sure.
All right, I think we got.
You saw the 300 workers, right?
We got one right here. Yes.
Will the Avengers thing that we just saw on the TV, will that be closer to a Flight of Passage or soaring experience where we kind of break out?
So, great question. I'm glad this audience knows our parks. I love that.
I told you they would.
I love it. So we're inventing an all-new ride system for this that is going to be, I would say that the demands of these characters and this experience is forcing us to invent, and we're really excited about that. So it's going to be something like you've never seen before.
Great. Over here.
All right, so this might be a loaded question, but in the Hong Kong ride for Ant-Man, you have Paul Rudd. Spider-Man. Will it be MCU Spider-Man Tom Holland?
Well, I think we've all seen the articles and stuff like that. We're really excited about the recent news.
That's us.
Thanks for your question.
Excited.
All right, over on the left side.
Are you gonna make a new solo movie for Hulk with the Red Hulk?
Who put you up to that?
Red Hulk is one of my favorites, and I hope we see him soon. I know there's a lot of plans in the works. That one I couldn't say what the plans are for Red Hulk, but he's one of my favorites, and I would love to see him.
Cool. Over here.
Yes, hi. I teach a Disney class, and my students create an engineering project for their Imagineering project for their final exam. You showed some really cool, epic experiences, and I was wondering if you could talk a little bit about how they come to exist from conception to experience.
Yeah, I'll jump into that because incredibly passionate about kind of the diverse minds coming together to create something that not any one person could ever do. And we used to quote that there was like 80 disciplines within Imagineering. I think there's so much more now because everything just keeps expanding. But having an engineer next to a writer, next to a sculptor, next to an artist, and then you have toys on the table, and then you have like little erector sets that you're trying to build stuff out. Like it's whatever tools are necessary to communicate ideas and the diverse minds that are coming together to try to put guests. You show an image like this, instantly that's now the challenge. That's the problem to solve for, and everybody rallies around it in their own unique ways, and that's what it takes is everyone looking at the same problem.
That's great. Thank you.
Sorry,
It's awesome. So, unfortunately, we're out of time. So, thanks everybody for your questions. And there's a guy dressed up like Figment, and I want to give him the opportunity to ask the last question. So, one more question for Figment, and then we'll follow from there.
Thank you. I'm just kind of curious, what were the challenges for Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind being in Epcot, which is sort of seen as the non-fiction theme park? I guess the real question I'm asking is there going to be an educational component to this?
No, that's a great question. Any one of us can take that because we talk about that a lot. And because these characters, we believe they're real, they're in our world, we can talk about those connections. And a lot of our pre-show talks about what those real connections in real space are.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, and to the educational thing, I mean, that's the fun part of it. Xandar, bringing this knowledge of the universe, there, and the idea of a galaxarium on steroids, is super cool in and of itself. And that pre-show queue, you know, I don't know if Tom Fitzgerald has a Twitter account, but tweet at Tom Fitzgerald and ask him, because it's pretty epic. But I mean, for Epcot, for us, I know we all talk about it, it's a blank canvas and it's exciting, and it's about how can we do more there. And I think we're looking at that all the time and trying to think of big ideas, but
I mean, just the fact that it's the first Otherworld showcase. I mean, so it's going to fit in with the Epcot kind of feeling, right?
And I'll say, as a Figment fan, you need to go ride Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout and look very closely at all of the vitrines in the collector's collection.
Of course he knows.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks so much for being such a great audience. Thanks to our panel.